Hi everyone, this is Leslie, and today I'm going to talk to you about making a bezel with a quatrefoil finish for a 14 by 14 kyanite bead, or whatever type of 14 by 14 bead you'd like to do. And this is how it will end up. First we're going to make a little bed for our kyanite to sit in, and then we're going to do a very specific finish to create this effect. Okay, let's talk about materials. First of all, I was working off a strand of 14 by 14, these little sort of flat beads in kyanite. They make these in other stones too. And I've also got some delica beads. This is number 38, palladium plated. And I've also got some Miyuki size 15 seed beads. That'll just be for the finishing. I've also got a number 12 needle, and I'm recommending a number 12 because it gets a little, you'll have to go through these beads a number of times, so I'm recommending a 12. You can start with a 10 and move to a 12 later. I've got also about 2 arms lengths of KO beading thread. For this project, I do recommend a thread rather than a monofilament, and kind of a thin thread if you can, because we're going to be going through these beads a number of times. And Fireline, I've tried it with Fireline, and this kind of shaped beadwork, it can make it too stiff, and then it's hard to stitch in the ditch afterwards. So you need something with a little bit more flexibility than Fireline for this kind of project. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is make a ring of 32 beads. Now the way to think about this is 7 beads on a side and then 1 for each corner. So that's a total of 28 plus 4, so 32. Give yourself a tail. And then we're going to start with peyote stitch. And since we have 7 beads on a side, we'll be doing 3 peyote stitch. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to increase. This is on the corner. This will make your little corner increase. So pick up 2 and peyote over 1. So you'll be doing 2 beads over 1. That's what it will look like, and that will make your little corner. 2 beads over 1. And again, peyote 3 for the next side. 1, 2, 3. And we've got our next increase at the next corner. So pick up again 2 beads. And put them in the next peyote stitch. So that will increase and make a little corner. And when you're doing shaped peyote like this, you always have to have an odd number of beads on a side to make this work. You can have 5 or 7 or 9 or whatever. Okay, we're doing the next side, but it always has to be an odd number. Okay, 1, 2, 3 again. One more increase on for this corner. Okay, then we're on the last side. The first row always looks the funniest, but this comes into shape pretty quickly. 2, 3. Okay, this is your last stitch in this row. You're going to pick up 2, peyote 1, and step up to the next row, which will be row 4. Let's have a look at what we've got. So we've got a little frame here for our stone. See, that's going to sit right in there when we get going. Okay, so for the next row, you're basically going to peyote around and put one bead in between each of the increases that we just did. So when you get to a corner, put a bead between those two corner beads. Okay, just like that. So it's just right in the corner. Then, so at this point, each side is going to have 4 peyote stitches because you did that increase. 4. And then again the corner. Keep going around, and I will come back at the end of this row to finish it up and show you how it's going to look. Okay, we're almost done with row 4. I've got my last corner bead to put in here, and then I'll put in, there it is, and then I put in my last bead and step up. Go through 2 to get up to the next row, row 5. Let's have another look at this. It's gonna start curving up now. That was the only increase we did, so now we're just going to build it up another couple of rows before we start decreasing. So for this next row, you're just going to peyote around 1 bead per space. Just go all the way around, and you can count them out if you need to. For this row, there'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 per side. So keep going around for row 5, and I'll come back at the end to step up and start the next row. Okay, here we are at the end of row 5. I've got one more bead to put in, and then I'm going to step up. Now, this next row will be the row that starts to cup. You see how you've got kind of a big gap on each of the corners? Well, when you fill that in with the bead, it's going to start to cup up. So let's see how that's going to work. So start peyoting around for row 6. And when you put a bead in the corner, just put one in. And you pull a little bit. See how that's going to come up like that? So that's what's going to hold our bead in place. Hold our 14 by 14 kyanite bead in place. So just keep going around. You're making your little cup for the kyanite to sit in. See that? So just keep going around, and I'll come back at the end of this row to start you on the next row. Okay, we're just about done with row 6. I've got one more bead to put in. You can see how this is cupping up nicely. I'm going to put in the last bead and step up. Now let's see what we've got. See how that just sits in there perfectly? So that's your little kind of base to go into. Now, so we're going to start with this row, we're going to start decreasing. See how basically each corner has 2 beads, and our kyanite is sitting nicely in there. So for this row, I'm going to get out a few of these 15s in the same color. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to peyote around, but on either side of the corner bead, I'm going to put in a 15 instead of an 11. So let's see what we got. And that's going to cinch it in and start our pattern of this decreasing. So like I said, on either side of the corner bead, just like that. And then I will peyote 1, 2, 3. Then there's the next corner bead, so I will put 1 15 on either side of it. Like that. See, I've already got 2 corners done. Now continue around and I'll come back to talk to you about the next row. Okay, I finished that row. So we're starting this pattern that you can see on the one I've already finished. So in the last row we did a 15 on either side of the corner bead. Now in this row, what we're going to do is next to that 15, you're going to put another one and go down through the corner bead. Don't put any beads in the corner bead. Like that. Then go up through the 15 that you did on the other side of the corner bead and put in another one. Like that. So you'll have 2 15s on each side of each corner bead. So then you're going to peyote 2 regularly. And again at the next corner, whoops, I put in 2 instead of 1. Try that again. Okay, so we're at the next corner. Put in a 15, go down through that corner bead. Come up and add another 15. So this is our pattern we're establishing to make this quatrefoil shape. You see that? So now we've got 2 15s on each side of the corner bead. So continue around like this, and I'll meet you at the end of this row to show you how it looks and go over the next row. Okay, I'm at the last bead in this row. So what's going to happen is I'm going to put it in and step up, and I'm already going to be in the corner. You can see my needle's coming out right there. So I'm not putting any beads in the corner, any more beads in the corner. So I'm going to go down through the corner beads and carry my thread up to the next side, where I'm going to continue this pattern that we've established. So I've got 2 15s on the corner. I'm going to add the next one as we're making this pattern. Peyote 1 with 11. And you can really see this happening. Pick up another 15 for the next corner bead and go down through the 2 15s and the corner bead that you previously did. Don't knot your thread like I did. It does start to get a little dicey because you're putting your thread through so many, through the beads so many times. But you can see I've got 3 15s on each side of the corner. And these 15s do have little holes, so just go slowly. I mean, if you need to use a size 13 needle, you can do that too. I've done that. It kind of depends on the beads you're using. I mean the seed beads you're using. How it's going to work out. Alright, so you can see how this is going to look, and you can probably guess what we're going to be doing in the next row, but I'll meet you at the end of this one to go through it with you. Okay, so we are now in the next to last row, and you can see how this is probably going to go. There's only 2 spaces on each side of the peyote to fill in. So this is going to be basically all 15s from now on. Whoop, wrong needle. So we have quite a lot of beads to go through at each corner. So just kind of go through a couple of beads at a time if you need to. That's what it's going to look like with 2 beads at the corner though. I mean on the side, on each side. Now see, I'm having a little bit of trouble going through here. Doing 2 per side. Now do what you can to finish this row, and then we've got one more row to go to finish it up. And I'll be right back to talk to you about that. Okay, we've made it to the last row of the quatrefoil here. You can see there's only 1 bead to put in each side. Now you can leave it like this. It looks quite pretty like this. You don't have to put the last bead in the row. I will tell you that I have switched to a number 15, or I'm sorry, a number 13 needle. But number 13 needles are kind of a pain. They're expensive, they're hard to thread. So I'm just going to show you how you might make an alternate way to take this over to the other side. Instead of trying to force your needle down through all these beads in the corner and back up, you can go off-road here. You can kind of manipulate your needle around through the 15 or through the 11s on the side to kind of take an alternate path, and you can kind of go back and forth to get your needle to the other side. And I've done that many times. I mean, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You can try, like I said, you can also try using a thinner thread, use a thinner needle. However you can get over to that next space, that's what it'll look like when you finish, is the right way to do it. I can't tell you exactly. I'm just kind of manipulating my thread around the side here. Let's see, I'll go this way. And then go back a little bit. So we'll do some reinforcement too. Let's see. There we go. Now I've got my needle going in the right direction, in the right place here. These last few beads. It is kind of a pain, but it makes such a lovely effect. So let's see. I'll go down there and I'll be going around for the next one. So there's 2 out of the 4, and I will come back to talk to you about finishing this all off at the end. Okay, I did it. I hope you did it. I hope you got yours too. I mean, if you're using a really thin thread and a thin needle, you should be okay. Otherwise, whatever kind of manipulation it takes is fine. There's one more thing I forgot to tell you to do, and I haven't done it yet either, is to go through your bead and sew it in here too. It's not going to fall out at this point, but if you've got a little bit of extra wiggle room, you might want to just secure it. And I'm going to do that as I go around and stitch in the ditch. So to stitch in the ditch, you want to take your thread to kind of the middle of the bead, middle of the side here. I think that's the row I did on this other one. Let's check, see what Leslie did before. Yes. Anyway, you can pick a row and peyote stitch around the outside like I did on this one. And that adds a nice little detail like that. You could pick a different row and make it a little bit higher up or lower depending on the effect you want it to make, but you just want to follow the line around the side. And I'm gonna get to the middle of this bead so I can show you. Middle of the side here, where the hole is, and oh, I got it the first try. Putting my needle through. I like to do this at the end so you can kind of, if the stone needs a little bit of adjustment, you can do that. Put it through there. You want to go through at least a couple of times, depending on how big the hole is or how loose your stone is. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to find. It's got to be around here somewhere. There we go. That'll just secure your stone. Looks like I'm in the right place to just continue on. You might have to move your thread around a little bit to get back to the right place. And I'm going to continue around like that. I'm also going, because I want to make this into an earring, I'm also going to put a couple of links of chain at the corner like this. You can sew that on if you'd like to. And I'll come back to show you the finished piece. Okay, I've gone and tied everything off, and this is what I've ended up with. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions, and hope you enjoy this pattern. Thanks so much.